Thank you, Chair. So I think it's a very good note to start on. Why female journalists? See, we rely on journalists for very crucial information to make some really important decisions. For example, who to vote for in the next election, which government to choose. And then I think we don't give too much thought about the health, safety, and welfare of female journalists. So the thing is, if the female journalists are not in the right state of mind, if they are undergoing trauma, if they are suffering in some way, I mean, they've got already all these other problems, but if there's also sexual harassment at the workplace, that's an additional stress. What it means is their work will be affected. Right? So, we always get all these demands on journalists to cover this, cover that, do investigative reporting. But no one ever looks at the working conditions and the context for this. I know at least 3 overseas media capacity building organizations falling over themselves to introduce investigative journalism centers in Fiji. And for me, the question is, have they done any kind of risk assessment of investigative journalism? So I'm not saying that we should not be doing investigative journalism, but you need to do the proper groundwork first. And one of the questions I have is whether if the proper groundwork was done. Okay, I might be diverting, but this is still relevant. So what are the risks of investigative journalism in Fiji? What is the government reaction likely to be? What is the capacity of our journalists? And of course, what is the state of female journalists who make up half the population of journalists, not just in Fiji, but in the region as a whole. And as I was saying, they are carrying out really crucial work. We rely on them for a lot of information, and we need them to be in a good physical and mental state at work if they are to do their work properly. So this is often lost on a lot of people, right? They can't make the connection between healthy journalism and the health of journalists. So if you want healthy journalism, you first have to create a healthy work environment, right? It's not the other way around. You can't put the cart before the horse. So this is one of the motivations for the research. So this was the first ever survey of sexual harassment in the Fiji news media sector, not just Fiji, in the Pacific as well. And there is a technology facilitated abuse element as well. So our sample comprised 42 former and current journalists. I think the current journalist response rate was 33%, which is statistically representative of the journalist population in Fiji. Now, the results are alarming, but not all that surprising. What we found was that 83% in our sample had experienced sexual harassment in one form or another. And this is higher than a 2014 international study which came up with a 50% prevalence. So it's rather unfortunate that in the Pacific region, we seem to be world beaters in all things unpleasant. For example, NCDs, right? We have the highest rates in the world, and of course, gender-based violence. And so it seems to be the case in workplace sexual harassment, at least in the news media sector. So in the media sector, our sexual harassment prevalence rates are higher than in other workplaces in Fiji. There was a study done in 2002 by the Fiji Women's Rights Movement in 4 major economic hubs in Fiji, and the prevalence rate there was 33%. So 83% in the news media sector, 33% in other workplaces. So we have a problem, right, as far as the news media sector is concerned. Now, I've got a bit more data here, so just bear with me. So 66% in our sample face sexual harassment at the workplace, mostly by peers and occasionally by their superiors, their seniors. And slightly lesser, which is 60%, recorded harassment on assignment. So there's a risk at the workplace and also on assignment. If you look at the harassment on assignment, the figures are quite interesting. The major perpetrators were politicians, right, 50%, and followed by community leaders, 33%, athletes, 17%, and religious figures, 6%. Now, if you look at the technology facilitated abuse, Facebook was used to monitor and stalk at least some of the victims, right? In one case, for months on end. It was also used to send rude messages, and in some cases, email and phone apps were utilized for unwanted making, unwanted propositions while at work, as well as in the late hours of the night. So this is the technology facilitated abuse element, but I believe this particular area needs focused research to really get to the heart of the problem. Right now, you might be groping a bit in the dark because you don't really know the extent of the problem and you don't have the data that you need to really address the situation. Thank you.